She might be running late.
On her way. She's on her way.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Andrewsko,
Here.
Counselor Sadiq,
Present.
Counselor Faralia,
Present. On Zoom.
Counselors. Yep,
I got it.
got you.
We heard
Counselor Silva,
Here.
Counselor President Burke,
Here.
Counselor Billups is here. Counselor Wagner,
Here.
Counselor Tunis,
Here. Thank you.
Vice President Wentz.
Here.
And we have our honorable mayor. We have solicitors Kilkenny and Richardson. We have Officer Bateman. We have our treasurer, David Heyman. We have Alexis is out today.
She's here. She's on Zoom.
She's on Zoom. Alexa, are you on Zoom?
Looks like she was connecting.
Okay, well, she's connecting. We have Officer Bateman. And I don't know the other big fellow back there, sorry. And that's it. Everyone is present and accounted for. Thank you.
Mayor Kiffer.
I'm here.
I said Mayor Keffer. That's it. I said our Honorable Mayor Keffer. Yeah.
Alexis, are you there?
We'll get her.
Okay.
All right. That's it.
Can you announce who's on Zoom?
We did. I was waiting for Alexis. To see if she's connecting.
Is there anyone else on Zoom? We can't.
I am here.
Okay, thank you. And this, we're all present and accounted for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Secretary Billups. Rules of meeting decorum. Upper Darby residents have the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Residents are prohibited from making threats, using profanity, or acting in a manner that would impede or prevent the conduct of the business of this meeting. Public forum shall not exceed 30 minutes. We'll move to 5.0. We have Asian Heritage Month Community Award presentation. Councilman Tunis, who would you like to take over for that? Or I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Councilwoman Billups to take lead as I can't be there in person for today. I do know Councilwoman Wentz has a bio. I believe she'll be reading it, and it'll be a short presentation led by Councilwoman Billups.
Thank you, Councilman Tunis.
Thank you. So this is in honor of Asian Heritage AAPI month, and Council Vice President Wentz is going to give a bio for Nasima Ula. Ula, yeah. So thank you.
Okay, great. So Nasima Ula immigrated to the U.S. from a small country called Bangladesh when she was 19 years old. Nasima has been a part of the Upper Darby community for the last 24 years and has devoted her time and energy to help women, children, the sick, the elderly, and anyone in her community who is in need. When Nasima first stepped on American soil, she had a hard time familiarizing herself in the new world and remembers vividly the struggles of learning how to maneuver a new life all on her own. Her husband had 3 jobs, so she had to rely on herself to rely on herself to care of the family, kids, their health, and educational needs. Learning this all in a new country and society were all challenges she had to face as a new immigrant. Young adult, wife, mother, sister, neighbor, and friend. Nasima didn't want her loved ones, neighbors, women, children, elderly, and those suffering from illness within the community to face the struggles she had once endured, and decided to break the cycle by being of service to all those in need. Nasima devotes her free time and energy outside of her home by helping new immigrant families find homes for rent, applying for health insurance for those in need, delivering food to the doorsteps of those who are struggling, helping their kids to begin their public education journey, accompanying pregnant women and cancer patients to their appointments to interpret for them, and even stays by their side overnight for moral support. She also counsels women and children who are victims of domestic violence in the community and actively volunteers at the local mosque in her neighborhood to help those in need. Nasima serves the community out of the goodness in her heart because she believes in everyone having access to the tools and resources they need in order to be healthy and successful citizens of society. These values were passed down to her from her mother, who also did social work and community service for their small town village back in Bangladesh. Likewise, this is just a small synopsis of Nasima's background and the service to her community. That is being brought to light today from the shadows. That is why I would like to thank Nasima for her contributions tonight and nominated her for this award. Let's all celebrate and give thanks to Nasima for all she's done and continues to do in Upper Darby. So Nasima, can you come up to the podium so we can give you an award and bring your family and anyone else who'd like to stand with her in solidarity?
Vice President, can I state X? Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead, Councilwoman Blackwell. Sure.
I just would like to add, Nasima, you have been invaluable to the 4th District and for everything that you have done. We appreciate everything that you have done. I, as Councilwoman, appreciate you, your family, for everything. Thank you.
I'd like to add a word.
You said right there. Yeah, right there. Go ahead, Councilman Siddiq.
Their family is very dear friend of my family friend, and her husband is carrying with same name, Siddiqullah and Sheikh Siddiq, and I'm very proud of her to doing community services. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm good, you guys. Okay. John will take a picture. Sorry, somebody will take pictures. Go ahead, Michelle. No, put John and whatchamacallit's up there.
Actually, here, let's have you face the council. Here, come here. Come this way. Come this way. Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for honoring me this evening. I always like to serve my community and my people all the time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Before we move on to public forum, I would like to thank, once again, as I thanked the Community Engagement Committee last week, and also like to thank them again today. So thanks. Next up, Secretary Billups, public forum. Thank you, Secretary Billups, 7-11. Roll the dice.
Okay. First, we have Melissa Harris. When you come up, please state your name and address, please.
Melissa Harris, 3827 Berkeley Avenue, Drexel Hill. Watching these meetings, our township looks ridiculous. The infighting has got to stop. And let's talk about the decorum of the council. That one council meeting was out of hand. You said, Bill, F no. We had Tunis there saying everyone has to go to the bar. And then the comment about, come, let me show you my hood. Let me show you my hood that this council has created because your inability to make new ordinances against all these rental properties. 18 rental properties, 8 duplexes on my street. We're going to be zoned soon as commercial property because of so many rentals. It's ridiculous. And as for this whole thing with Ron Gione, when that whole thing came out, he was the one handling the money. He should have resigned until things were settled. And I think the council was 100% right in voting him out. And now you're going to waste our taxpayer dollars on all these frivolous lawsuits. It's ridiculous. And I'm curious of why some of you are council members, because you're not working for the township or the residents. You all have your own agendas here. And it seems like when we watch these meetings, you're not doing anything for us residents at all. And I'm telling you now, when it's time for some of you to go for your reelection, I'm going to be actively working against you so you don't get reelected. The immaturity and childishness has got to stop here. Upper Darby's going to hell in a handbasket, and it's got to stop. And this is how you all look when we watch these meetings on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, I'm sorry, I can't read your name. Ken or Bren?
My handwriting's crap. I'm an inspector.
Okay.
All right. My name is Ken Collins. I live on Harley Road in Lansdowne, and I've lived there for 11 years. And over the past 11 years, I've watched it go down, watched the taxes go up. And I believe I speak for my whole community when I say this is history repeating itself. In the 1700s, the first civil war between the British was due to taxation without representation. Y'all haven't done anything but defunded the police, made our communities more unsafe. People speeding. Me and my daughter, and I have a 5-month-old that was also in my arms last night, crossing Pembroke Avenue. A car runs a red light at 50 miles an hour, crossing through Union, and almost hit me and my daughter. He slams on his brakes, proceeds to yell at me and my daughters for crossing the street, and didn't care that he ran that red light. I've asked for more cops. Instead, y'all say, well, what we're gonna do is put speed limit monitor boxes. Well, what good is that? They have a speedometer on their dashboard. They know how fast they're going. So the boxes aren't doing anything. Our community's unsafe. We have glass on the ground that's been there heaping piles at Save-A-Lot for 3 weeks now. No one's cleaned it up. They've come out, boarded up the windows. I spoke with Mr. Tunis this morning. He said he was going to contact somebody and get back with me. He has not gotten back with me. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. Y'all put a methadone clinic. Y'all don't monitor it. We have syringes between Save-A-Lot parking lot and my house. It's unsafe. This community's unsafe. And furthermore, I'd like to ask you, in the wake of Uvalde and other mass shootings across the country, what's y'all's protocols and how do you plan to fulfill the protocols? How do you plan to carry them out when the police can't afford gas in their cars? I would love an answer to that at some point, and thank you for your time.
Excuse me, everybody in the audience, can we keep it down so we can hear every speaker that's speaking, so we can hear the words, so we can put it in our minutes. So thank you.
Next is Tiffany Taylor.
Good evening, Tiffany Taylor, 508 Millbank Road. I just want to talk about safety in the neighborhood. I have been a resident of Upper Darby for almost 30 years, and as the gentleman just spoke, I'm starting to see syringes near the schools. This has to stop. In the parks, in the schools, you see baggies with residue of drugs. Also, the speed bumps. We need speed bumps in our area. We have a lot of children, and people fly through the stop signs. They don't stop. Also, on the corner of Ruskin Lane and Millbank Road, we need a stop sign. People fly, and it's children running in and out of, the driveway. It's the summertime, so it's a lot of children playing outside during the daylight hours. We have commercial trucks parked on our block, so kids running in and out in between the cars. They can't, other cars that's coming through can't see the children crossing the street or playing out in the street. And it's just going to cause a tragedy sooner or later. And we don't want to see any children hurt or even killed or maimed in this kind of situation. The drugs, the trash, and just the safety of the overall neighborhood. We have a lot of senior citizens that live in our neighborhood as well. And, walking, they can't walk because they see these trash and drugs and stuff all on the ground. One of these kids is liable to pick up one of those needles. We don't know what is contained in those needles, and we could have an overdose. So, I just want you guys to take that into consideration and try to address it as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is John Vazari.
Good evening, John Bizzari, 353 Kirks Lane, Drexel Hill. First off, I want to actually say that I noticed that there's 8 people on Zoom, and Zoom is for the administration. So I think we need to identify, and it should be identified to the public, who those 8 individuals are, because it's not the YouTube that the public is seeing, and they don't know who's participating in this meeting. Second of all, I do reiterate what the first speaker said about the frivolous lawsuits, especially the recent one that Councilman Heyman filed against 6 of your peers sitting up on here. I think it's just ridiculous, out of line. I think it's another stall tactic and an intimidation tactic to try and get the bipartisan group to stop what they voted on. Secondly, or thirdly, I did attend last night's town hall. I did not speak. I regret not speaking because I did have some questions. I have no issue with the way the funds were listed as being allocated. I do have a concern about the gun buyback program, just because Philadelphia has done that and it didn't do anything. So I would like to see what the statistics are on what it does, other than put money back in the pocket of the people who are bringing in unused guns that they're not using anymore. Exactly. I did speak to the gentleman from UHY after the meeting and asked him a specific question with regards to the use of ARPA funds. And that question was specific to, can they be used for funding the pensions? And as I brought forth to the previous meeting, that in my review of the account, that the $12 million was transferred in, which brought the balance in the Pliget account down below the ARPA fund balance by $6.4 million. That $6.4 million was used to fund the police, fire, and municipal employees' pension funds, which they deserve to have their pension funds funded. But according to UHY, that is not what the funds are to be used for. And Mayor, you are to attest to how those funds are to be used. And if you attest that they were not used for ARPA, for these pension funds, then that would be a false attestation. You guys just got to admit that these funds were moved and used before council's approval. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Next is Michelle Schofield.
This is really close. Good evening. My name is Michelle Schofield. I live at 519 Millbank Road. Tonight, my comment is directed towards Laura Wentz. Laura, I appreciate what you did with coming into our neighborhood and distributing the newsletters with all the upcoming events. So we appreciate that because many hands make light work. But my question to you is, who are you in solidarity with? Because you don't have to answer me right now because I know that's not the proper thing, but I just wanted to know, who are you in solidarity with? Because if you was going to drop off a list of resources to us, I felt as though it should have been signed in solidarity with the Upper Darby Council, because I'm sure that your fellow councilmen would have helped you distribute the list also. And I'm sure right now they're unaware of what I'm saying or talking about right now. The second thing is, if we're going to be in solidarity, the way that you're voting needs to reflect what you're saying in the letter that you dropped off to the residents in Stonehurst Hill. So I'm just going to ask, I'm not
Please,
saying that.
excuse me. The next person that speaks out loud will be removed. Simple as that. I'm sorry,
I'm not
I'm
saying
sorry,
this.
Michelle.
That's okay. I'm not saying this to get claps or yays in the background. So I just want to be clear because I wanted everyone here to know what's going on. I don't do sloppy. I don't do messy. So I feel like when we're going to do something together and we're in the process of healing and starting to work together, then we need to do just that. Again, I appreciate your efforts, but when you said in solidarity, it needs to be across the board and we all need to be working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Marion Minnick.
Hello, my name is Marion Minnick. I live at 1204 Watt Avenue, Drexel Hill. I do not hide behind Facebook, Twitter, or anonymous insulting letters in the mail. I communicate publicly, face to face. Democrats are building the future of Upper Darby. For years, I would hear mainly from my Republican neighbors, what about Drexel Line? What about Drexel Line? What about Drexel Line? Well, McCosey was mayor of Upper Darby Township for 10 years and could not get Drexel Line done. Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer is getting the renewal of Drexel Line Shopping Center started in 2 years. McCosey had 5 times the amount of time to get Drexel Line started and could not do it. When you really think about it, it's kind of amazing that Mayor Keffer was able to get the Drexel Line project going in such a short period of time compared to her predecessor. And Mayor Keffer has done this during a devastating worldwide pandemic where everything was shut down nationwide for months. Compared to her predecessor, in comparison, Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer appears to have superhuman abilities. Also, you can thank Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer and True Democrats for giving hundreds of scholarships to the Upper Darby kids attending Summer Stage. Even at the county level, the 5 members, all Democrats, Delaware County Council had purchased the former Don Granella site with the goal of creating Delaware County's newest and largest county park, an incredible 213-acre space. Unlike the other party, whose focus is hatred, division, and controlling women's bodies. The true Democrats' focus is to improve the quality of life of our residents. Democrats are building the future of Upper Darby, despite the blatant, politically driven investigation brought on by the 6 all-white slight majority of council members, choosing to disregard the interests of our now majority minority township community. By holding up the ARPA funding and preventing labor from doing what it does best, tearing down old dilapidated structures of the past and skillfully building incredible new state-of-art structures in its place. Obviously, in the minds of the 6, Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer has been too successful in a short period of time. And this petty political investigation is the only way they know how to slow her awesome momentum. I can tell you right now that the 6 council members are wasting their time. Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer will get elected to a second term as our mayor. Our skillful union brothers and sisters will get the love and respect that they deserve, and the Democrats will continue to build the future of Upper Darby. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kyle McIntyre.
All right, one second. Kyle McIntyre, 1040 Drexel Ave. I'm here to talk about the ordinance that I proposed last meeting about the LGBTQ sanctuary ordinance. It is a simple ordinance that will protect the LGBTQ community from any future attacks on their human rights. The ordinance allows the township to direct its police officers and other persons acting on behalf of Upper Darby Township or using resources, assets belonging to Upper Darby Township to refuse the participation in any prosecution in which a person is accused of just participating, expressing, engaging in any private sexual activity which the government has no business being involved in between consenting adults, and through the public expression of one's gender identity or sexual orientation. I feel like this ordinance is kind of simple. It's kind of a done deal. However, it is super important nowadays. This ordinance is vital given the opinion of the Supreme Court. I know that there's some movement on the federal government level, but at the same point, I've been disappointed many times before, and I have a feeling I'm going to be disappointed again. And the truth of the matter is many of us have friends, family members, loved ones, even township workers that are LGBTQ, and we need to do what we can to protect them. Not only is this ludicrous and dangerous, it is very possible that more anti-LGBTQ laws will be proposed in Pennsylvania. Trust in the government is an all-time low, and we can only restore that by taking steps to protect us. This ordinance would make a real difference for not just residents in Upper Darby, but in Delaware County. To those that will say that we're exaggerating, let me provide you with the facts. If Oberfell is overturned, 32 states, including Pennsylvania, would ban same-sex marriage immediately. And there's no telling what that would do to existing marriages. If Lawrence was overturned, 14 states would have automatic bans on all same-sex activity. The following provides support that there is a push to take away human rights across this country. 238 bills have been introduced this year alone. 238, specifically targeting a community who just wants to be left alone. It is not only appalling, but horrifying. And our township needs to do something in the god-awful case that we have to cross that road, that some of our school board members aren't arrested just for existing, that some of our township workers aren't just fired just for existing. There's no telling how far this goes, and sorry, but we had 3 Supreme Court justices that said they wouldn't do something and did it, so my trust is really, really non-existent at this point. So I really ask that our council does what is necessary and move this ordinance out of Law and Government Committee for a vote. I'm pleading directly to Laura, Megan, Matt, and Andrew. Please take this copy, look it over, and put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre, That is in Law and Government Committee right now, okay?
Yeah, that's a revised version because I realized the version I gave you was from Radner's abortion sanctuary bill. This one specifically for the LGBTQ community has language that might be helpful.
This is different than last week, the last time.
Yeah, so that's the same thing, just edited to fit the LGBTQ community.
Thank you. Next is Monica Mapp.
Hi, how are you? My name is Monica Mapp. I live at 541 Hampton Road, and I was invited today by Michelle Schofield. I'm here to talk about safety. I was driving home. Of course, everybody blows stop signs, and the little kids was outside playing. The little boy actually stopped and looked at his friend and said, "Wow." She actually stopped at the stop sign. How sad is that for children? When I was a child, I didn't have to worry about that. Literally, I live on a one-way block. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen people speeding up the block the wrong way. And all I can do when I look out the window and say is I pray that nobody else is coming down the opposite way speeding down, because they speed everywhere. We need speed bumps, stop signs. We need cameras. We were walking our dog the other night. The truck was going so fast that we literally felt it move past us. We were walking the dog in the street. You have to walk in the street because there's no sidewalk space. The sidewalks are too small. So you walk in the street, but when the cars come, of course you move to the side. He was going so fast, of course he didn't stop at not one stop sign, let alone we want more stop signs at Millbank and Ruskin. That he was going so fast he didn't stop, and I said, I pray that nobody comes out or a child is coming across the street, because it wasn't that late. Because if they did, there's no way he would have stopped. He couldn't have stopped, he'd have killed him. He was going that fast. Safety is definitely an issue. We have to clean up our neighborhood. I'm glad that Saturday we're taking the first step to clean our neighborhood. We're gonna clean in the front and the back, and I hope that we continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Olivia Taylor.
Olivia Taylor, 204 Kent. As I stated at the last meeting, Courtney, I was going to bring up the marijuana dispensary at this next meeting, so I have more time to speak about it. Anything that's going to bring a negative impact on our community, especially the Black community, needs to be brought to the forefront. If you don't want anyone to know about it, you need to stay off Instagram, you, Vince, and Tunis, okay? It's all over Instagram. My concern is, where do you think you're going to put it? And the key word is think, because you snuck in the smoke shops. My guess is the 6th district, which is going to be the Stonehurst community. I want to know if they're aware of what's about to happen to them. This woman over here just spoke about the needles. They have no idea the nightmare that's about to come to them. Y'all can sit up there and look like I'm not talking out of my neck, but I'm telling y'all what's about to happen. They're not going to admit it, but it's coming. The traffic, the shooting, the robberies, you will not destroy our neighborhood. Okay? I am bringing it to the forefront so the residents here and the ones that are listening at home can know what's about to happen to them. You give seminars on marijuana, that's your thing. But if you're going to do something, how about do it the right way and present it to us? Because the way you're going about it, you look like you're trying to do it at the expense of the residents, and it's wrong. And now that I hear that you all want to separate this community by redistricting the 1st down to the 6th, it is not going to happen. Okay, y'all can have y'all little meetings and little videos of how y'all going to separate our communities because of one woman. You're afraid of one woman. Now you want to separate the township. That is not going to happen. You can have as much meetings as you want to. It still has to pass legislation. And by the way, Tim Kearney is up for re-election in November. So the residents at home, y'all need to get out and vote, okay? Because you will not separate this township. And one more thing, I just sitting back there listening to Mr. Minnick about the last administration. You got the solicitor sitting here and another woman sitting here that's blocked the Drexel Line project. By the way, he did pro bono to get the CDs in. So before you want to point out everything she's doing, you better hope after this investigation, she doesn't go to jail. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Janice Hayman.
Already gotten applause. I could sit back down. Janice Hayman, 727 Stanbridge Road. Good evening, council and mayor. I attended the ARPA town hall last night. It was awesome. It was such a breath of fresh air and an evening of such positivity and all the wonderful things that we are going to get done in this township. I hope someday, because right now things are getting kind of backed up. One of the things that they were talking about was, oh, there's money here for small business owners who were adversely affected during COVID. These people are still waiting for that money. Are they still in business? Will we have any small business owners left to get this money? I don't know. It seems really unfair and really disheartening that because of a grievance, there are 6 people nursing a grievance, and that is keeping things from getting done in this township. It is sad. And when you think about the 80,000 plus people who live in this township, their needs, their desires, the uplift that could happen in this township, all the good that can come from this, and it's being thwarted by a grievance of 6 people. You think that you have the power to take the CAO out of his job. The CAO disagrees. And because of the way our home rule charter is written, it is unclear. That'll be solved in a courtroom, not in this room. This room is for township business, to do what you were elected and you swore to do. That's what you're here to do, the township's business. And now you don't even want to do a whole council meeting. If you don't feel like it, you just shut the whole thing down. You're not doing your jobs. And I'm sick of it. It's just so horrible. How arrogant. How arrogant. 80,000 people in this township. And 6 of you think you can put a stop to it. Just no progress. Let's not have the good things because we're mad about something. It's really not great. So I have one ask because I'm probably running out of time. Matt Silva, Councilman Silva, Vice President Wentz, you're Democrats. Please return to your democratic values. Laura, put the pen down and look at me. Please look at me. That's all I ask. Please look at me. Please return your democratic values and serve all of the people of the township as you were elected to do as an at-large council person.
Thank you for your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quiet, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So if anybody's videoing the meeting tonight, we have an area back in the left-hand corner as I'm facing the room. Can we video from there where the signs are? Can we keep it quiet? Alexis is not here and trying to get the words for the minutes. You can clap afterwards, but when they're not finished their speech or their 3 minutes, have a little courtesy. So just for Alexis so she can get the minutes right. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Secretary Billups, go ahead.
Sure. Next is Brian Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. Brian Sharif Taylor, 7258 Lamport Road. I'm actually not speaking for myself. I'm actually speaking for a good friend of mine, Miss Pauline Sabatino. Pauline Sabatino, 3726 Garrett Road, Drexel Hill. I apologize that I could not be here in person, but I was in the accident, so I asked Brian Taylor to relay my message for me. I am a firm believer that people working together as a team is how we get things accomplished. I am also a firm believer that we are only as strong as our weakest link. We have elected leaders promoting falsehood about how and why we are at this point with the ARPA funds have not been released. They are installing fear into their own constituents with the falsehood that we don't use these funds now, that there will be lost. Anyone can look up the rules and the timeline within these fundings, and they will see they're not losing anything. We have until 2024. They are promoting that there are bipartisan, 6 is attacking for political gain. Let's not forget, it was the treasurer that asked the question and the CAO that dodged all questions in the administration that thinks that they're answering to no one. They got us all fooled. Let's keep in mind that all of this would be done if the administration actually paid the bill for investigating the council vote, or when they were supposed to install the administration launched and paid for the audit at the tune of $134,000 of the township's tax dollars. Can't read all of this because my eyes are bad. But I read that for a good friend because, well, she's a good friend. I've heard different tones of each and every one that comes up here. We have to find a better way. Point blank and simple. I've seen things that are harming our community because I live in the Stonehurst community. I agree with Mr. McIntyre because I have friends that are in the LGBT community, but I'm also a veteran. So a lot of times I get very frustrated when you take your time out from your own schedule and to talk to your leaders, and you go back to your home and nothing's done. You have to give the people that elected you some type of comfort. That is a part of being a leader. Unfortunately, you have to take the negative with the positive. Anything that negative that happens, you have to stand up. If one of you are harassed, as a whole council, you have to say, don't stand for it. So that's my time. I'm tired. It's been too damn hot all damn day. You got to excuse my language. And I'm also inviting everybody to our Veteran Resource Fair on August 13th. And when are we going to hang the POW MIA flag?
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you.
I'll set up a meeting with you, Mr. Taylor, and maybe the administration. So.
Next is Cynthia Chappelle.
How you doing? My name is Cynthia Chapel. I live 548 Hampton Road. I'm originally from Chester. I've been up here for 10 years. I live on the in-house. I have keep the grounds clean from the front to the side, and my 71-year-old mother. It's a lot of debris comes up there in the area, and you also have tenants in and out that they're y'all should get on the landlords because they allow their tenants to throw trash and filth out there like that and leave it out there. And y'all should have supervisors that need to come out and check the grounds and stuff to see how it's living up there because it is filthy and nasty up there. It's a lot of debris and old trash and filth all in back of the houses. The trash man throw trash all over the ground when he pick the trash up, all the trash on the ground. You got dog parks. They won't take the dogs to the dog parks. They come to my end, and dog poop is all in my yard. I ask them can they not to poop there. You got signs up there saying pick your poop up. There's nothing being done about it. So, I mean, trash should be picked up more than just on twice on the summertime and just one day a week because it's a lot of trash that be put back out there soon the trash man pick up. You got animals out there. You got possums and raccoons and squirrels that study tearing up the trash. You got homeowners that put the trash and throw them over the balcony and the trash drop them all on the ground. You got homeowners that got trash all on their balconies and stuff. If I complain about the homeowners and give y'all my names, they'll tell the homeowners that I called them and told on them. So y'all putting me on the line too, in my life too, because if I'm reporting something, I don't have nothing to hide by giving y'all my name. But when y'all go back and tell the people I said it, then it is a problem because it's y'all job to come out and do an investigation. And then I'm on Section 8 and I get an inspection every year and I be under violations. If it's on me or my landlord, he won't get no money. Y'all don't come out here, and I've been up here for 10 years, and I don't see a lot of the homeowners get inspections like they should do, and they got occupancy to rent these units out, and y'all don't come and do inspections on their houses. The houses is like 100 and something years old up there. It's a lot of mouses and stuff is inside the walls. They're coming up in my floors. They're eating through my floors. So it is a problem up there. Trash do need to be picked up more than once just on Mondays and just 2 days out of the week on the summertime. I do like Upper Darby. I never had no problem with Upper Darby. You do need to have more women police officers on the force because I always been up here. I don't see too many women. I seen 2 women, they not here no more. I don't see black minority up here. I see maybe one, they ain't here no more. So I'm not racist, but a woman can do just as good a job as a man. So I'm just asking y'all, it is funding here that could be put out for people that need jobs because I mean, it's help out here. Y'all got 2 or 3 people on the trash truck. I see 1,000 trash trucks running around here and only picking up garbage one day a week out here. You got raccoons, you got possums all in my yard.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Joanne. Yep, that's you.
Joanne Namavong, 133 North Pennock. I have 2 things to talk about. One, I want to reiterate something that 2 of the other residents spoke about, is speed bumps on the residential streets. We need them. I spoke about that probably 2 years ago and was told it's not possible because it would damage our fire trucks. That is just not true. The fire trucks, yes, they're going to race down Westchester Pike. They're going to race down the major roads. When they get into the neighborhoods, they go slow. It's not going to damage their undercarriage. These kids are going to get killed. That's the first thing. And the second thing is kind of related because we essentially right now have speed bumps on Westchester Pike going westbound in Upper Darby. The Westchester Pike has been milled. Not the whole thing, though. Like maybe 10 yards is milled, and then 3 yards isn't. And then maybe 4 yards is milled, and 6 yards isn't. So I'm driving my son to work, and I have to keep stopping. Everybody has to keep stopping as they have to go up and down these huge bumps. Now, I know it's not your purview, like with the paving. I know it's PennDOT. But Upper Darby always gets second best. And I think, this is just what I'm gathering, that they're planning to patch it. That they're not gonna pave where they didn't mill. If they do that, we're gonna have an inferior road that's gonna be destroyed within a couple years with the weather. And so I hope somebody can address that with PennDOT. We want the whole thing paved. We don't want piecemeal work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Becky Duggan.
Becky Duggan, 129 North Pannock Avenue. I'm going to start off by saying I'm going to address Laura, Matt, Brian, and the other members of the 6 who have been voting a certain way. It's very difficult to stand up against people who are your friends and do the thing that you think is right. So I think it's admirable that you will continue to stand up and do what you think is right, whether or not your friends think you're wrong. So thank you for doing that. What I really want to address tonight is, it kind of dovetails on a lot of what the other people have addressed, is the police and security. I know there's a lot of new initiatives that the mayor is trying to get forward, the community center, fixing up the parks. That's great. I don't want the ARPA money to spend for this, but you know, all these new things, I think we need to increase police presence in certain places. I personally, in my neighborhood, there's a car that goes up and down my street and back up and down Parkview and Lenox. I can hear it from inside my house with my air conditioner on and my windows closed. It speeds so fast. I try and look at my camera, you can barely see it. It goes so fast. I think to myself, should I call the police? By the time they get there, no offense to the police, because I listen to the police scanner more than I probably should. And I know they're busy. And a car speeding around a neighborhood, by the time they get there, he's going to be all the way in West Philadelphia or in Radnor. So I think we need to maybe spend some money and hire some additional police, because the policing in the neighborhoods and the traffic is not what it should be. Now, as far as the speed bumps, I know people don't like to hear speed bumps. How about speed tables? They're a little wider. I know they have them in Radnor. I know they have them in Philadelphia. I addressed this last or 2 times before I spoke here about that. And I know my sister just spoke about the fire trucks. They don't go fast in neighborhoods. If they do, they're going to kill all our cars and you're not going to have a fire truck anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Renee Warren.
Hello, my name is Renee Warren, 562 Millbank Road. I wanted to thank Congresswoman Blackwell for starting the project in Upper Darby to have the 4th Saturday as the day that we clean up. And I thank the Stonehurst Hills Neighborhood Association for implementing that in Stonehurst. It's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is I want to thank, there have been support given to us by some council members. Councilwoman Billups, there's been support. She's coming to our meetings. And the mayor, she's been in our meetings. And Officer Bateman, he's been in our meetings. And I appreciate them doing what they're doing to help us to better Stonehurst. So I do appreciate that. And I'm sure the other members of Stonehurst appreciate that also. I want to thank Officer Bateman for the speed trailer that he's going to put on Millbank Road. I would love to have speed bumps on Millbank Road too, but I was told that the street was too narrow to have speed bumps. So probably the trailer would be the best thing for us to have at this point. And I hope it stays out there to deter people from speeding up Millbank Road. Thank you.
I believe 30 minutes has been up, hasn't it?
Continue, Michelle Billups. Councilwoman Farrelly, we have 6 speakers left, and we're into the 41st minute. So tonight, we're going to continue since there's only 6 left. Just keep going.
Okay, next is Stacy Hawley. Thank you.
Good evening, Stacy Hawley, 1017 Mason Avenue. A couple things that I wanted to come out personally and thank the township. One, the website looks great. So I just want to recognize that. And also, with everything that's going on with the gun violence and violence in general, Upper Darby Police Force does an awesome job. When an incident happens, it is resolved. They work with the community, and that is key to keeping the community safe. So I commend them. But there is one thing that needs to be done. You have to come together and pass the use of the ARPA money. Our neighbor, we are West Philly, and that is a hot spot for gun violence in Philadelphia. And if our police force doesn't have the resources, the cameras, and whatever else they need to keep the violence at bay, because it's creeping and it's going to be here and it's already here. So I ask President Burke, this is kind of an aside, but there needs to be a compact between council and the residents. It's fine for you to write a decorum for the public speaking, but it has to hold true for council as well. I watched July 6th meeting. I was appalled. Councilman Burke, you silenced Councilperson Wentz with the gavel cut off. As soon as the question came up about the litigation, granted, you can't speak on it because it's litigation, but you could have given her the courtesy to finish her question. It's a disgrace, and I'm really disappointed. And what really bothers me, as the gentleman had said earlier, you're all of the same. This was was supposed to, you're all Democrats, most of you, to work together. I don't get it. The tone that you are allowing President Burke of hostility and arrogance has got to stop. And you are quoted in the paper that the situation with the CAO needs to be rectified because it's costing taxpayer money. Let me ask you what it's, and I'm going to put a right to know in, the legal fees from the one that Councilman Heyman just put forth. It's ridiculous. You are wasting our money. Pass the ARPA funds. Put your grievances aside. There's too much at stake here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lee Jordan.
Good evening, Lee Jordan, 90 Pilgrim Lane, Drexel Hill, resident for 59 years in Upper Darby Township. This evening, I think you've heard it, that there's just a reoccurring theme, and that is just to get back to basics. There are just issues in this township that need to be addressed, like safety is probably number one in my book. There used to be the superintendent of police used to attend the meetings, and I think it'd be helpful if he came back to sit in the meetings, and maybe he's one of the 8, I'm not sure, but just to listen. And then he, previous administration, we used to get a report. I think it's always nice to do something face to face. Second is the enforcement of all the existing ordinances that we have in the township. We hear over and over again about rental properties. It is a real issue. So we know the majority of the landlords don't even live in Upper Darby Township. I am not sure how communications get sent to them. I'm not sure when new tenants move into, apartments or duplexes or rental properties, how they're even made aware of what the ordinances are, what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. We hear, and every meeting I've been to is about commercial vehicles, and I know there's a resolution tonight that's going to get passed on a specific street, which I truly don't understand. I guess I'll wait to hear what that's about. But I thought we did have a ordinance in place already about commercial vehicles. And I know in the last couple of meetings I've been to, the trucks was an issue, the size of a truck and permit parking. So I'm not even sure where that even stands at this point. But I think property maintenance is a big concern. You know, residents, it's a different world we live in. We really, everybody says approach your neighbor. Well, sometimes that's just not possible to do. And, you know, we have to have people out there. Like, I don't think the police should give tickets for a commercial vehicle. Maybe that should be with the parking authority in the township. Just another comment is the mayor updates that you send out at the end of each week, you know, highlighting what has occurred. It might be helpful if you also state like any upcoming meetings that are happening, you know, the next week, or just add it to your email. Because I mean, I always think it's good to keep people informed, you know, of what's going on, whether they attend or not. And then lastly is the Drexel Line project. I know they've started some traffic pattern changes, so I tried to do my due diligence and I looked online, and what's up there is from the 2018 plan. So I don't know if anybody has an update, because they've already started like changing things on Route 1. So if somebody can just tell me where I can find all the new traffic pattern stuff, you know, if it's on the website, I'm not even sure. And then I have to end with a comment was made earlier. Well, I guess I'm not going to end with that. That's fine. And thank you for letting me speak.
I believe Senator Kearney sent something out.
Ms. Jordan, I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay,
And-
yeah, I just yeah, if there's somewhere I can just find all that information,
Senator
it'd be
Kearney, I
great.
think, sent something out.
Okay, all right,
Yes,
thank
so-
you.
Thank you. Next is Tina Hamilton.
Good evening. Tina Hamilton, 4715 Woodland Avenue. All right, so where do I start with that lawsuit? Sorry, I just totally disagree. I have an article here that I'm going to read, and I'm hoping it's only going to be 3 minutes because it really can explain to everybody behind as well what the holdup is with ARPA and why, and the investigation, and the frivolous suits, and all the rest of the stuff that's going on and why. Okay, so Delaware County judge on Tuesday overruled the initial objections from Vincent Reggioni in regards to a legal request from a group of 6 town council members asking the judge to legally affirm the council's effort to fire Reggioni from his township position earlier in this summer. The ruling from the Common Pleas Judge Angelos is not a total victory for the group of 6, but at the same time keeps the request on track to receive full consideration. Reggioni, whose job as chief administrative officer has been in limbo for weeks now, took the decision in stride. This is a minor procedural ruling that does not impact the underlying legal questions at hand, and we continue to do the work of the township while looking forward to a speedy and just decision on the merits of this case. That's what he told Broad and Liberty on Tuesday evening. The first tidbit of action from the court comes as Brian Burke, a Democrat and president of the Upper Darby Township Council, has become more vocal in defending the legal actions initiated by the bipartisan group. Thank you. After that vote to fire Reggioni in June, Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer's administration has argued that the vote Reggioni has forfeited office lacked mayor's consent and could be illegal or invalid in other ways. As a result, Reggioni continues to work, which is a joke. The decision by Keffer and Reggioni to ignore the council vote then prompt the group of 6 petition a court to affirm the vote's legality. Burke's defense becomes amid a new lawsuit filed by Councilmember Andrew Heyman, alleging that the group of 6 violated Pennsylvania Sunshine Law and moved gardening Heyman front page attention from the Delco Daily Times, which is what you wanted. While in my view that it is not appropriate to discuss matters related to pending litigation involving the township at a July 6th meeting, it is also unquestionably my view that the council has acted transparently, well within its authority as granted by the Home Rule Charter, and most importantly, in the best interest of Upper Darby taxpayers and residents in this matter. Burke said at the press release. I agree. Both Heyman and Reggioni are suing the council as a whole government body, but the suits also individually name the 6 who do not agree with them. That's my words, I must say, because it's ridiculous. Taking all these actions together creates the newest chapter in the Dickinson novel, which is 2 factions of the council. The bipartisan 6 are bipartisan. So they're calling out the Democrats because you guys aren't sticking together. You're sticking by what's right, and I appreciate that. As a citizen,
Time's up, Ms.
I
Hamilton.
appreciate that.
Ms. Hamilton,
Thank you.
Thank you. Your time's up.
Thank you. Next is David Neal.
Thank you. David Neal, 432 Beaumont Road. I'm here as a resident of Upper Darby Township. Hello. I'm here to support the ARPA funds being released. There are many programs and resources that our community needs. So the next time you hear a 14-year-old boy dying from a gunshot, is it your fault? Is it your fault? Are you going to be thinking about that? Could I have done something? My principal told me, I have a student that wishes to put you as a point of contact because if they have suicidal thoughts, who can they talk to? I was only one of 3 staff members be included on this, and I actually no longer teach the student. But that student felt comfortable enough to approach me when they're having an issue. I feel comfortable enough when I go to sleep that I've done everything I can do to help my children, my students, because they are my children. Are you doing everything that you need to do to help your community, your residents? And I don't believe you are. Chief Sawyer mentioned last night that a lot of our equipment is really out of standard, really almost by 10 years. And that happened actually under the previous administration. And so we wish to meet the current standards, meet the current strategies, resources that the police department needs, that the fire department needs, that our community wishes to have park space, increased land value, which will help our community stay safer, stay cleaner. And I really hope, and I appreciate Brian, Matt, I saw you both at the town hall last night. So I feel that you're open to hearing what the administration wants to do with that money. And I hope that you support the release of the funds, because releasing those funds have nothing to do with the investigation that's going on. And someone had recently told me that really the investigation is practically done and is already being shared with certain members of the council and not being shared with others. And so I find that very concerning. And I'll leave it at that, that I think a lot of you need to look ahead, not backwards. Look forward. We are your community. Please help and serve us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Cynthia Isles.
Good evening, Council. Cynthia Isles, 7611 Parkview Road. I come here today as an advocate for the youth and the children of Upper Darby. I am co-president of the Highland Park Home and School Association and secretary for the Beverly Hills Home and School Association. When a young man in our community was murdered, I had the opportunity to sit with his mother. And in the midst of her grief and her sorrow, her request was that we do more for the children of our community. She said, we need programs. We need opportunity for them. We need places for them to go. We need things for them to do. I sat through the meeting last night, and the mayor's vision for the ARPA funds provides the programs and things for our children to do and places for them to go, places for them to grow. I was there at his repast, along with members of this community, and more specifically, Council Member Vice President Wentz. And they were members of political leaders spoke to those children and told them that they were there to support them. And if supporting them means releasing the funds so that they can have the opportunity to go to a safe space and to have activities and programs that support them, that build their character, that give them opportunities to participate in sports, where the leaders of this community can come together and be a force for them, which we're already doing. But here is a great opportunity. That rec center would be a game changer for this community. Aside from the rec center, I got an opportunity to listen to Chief Sawyer talk about the need for updated equipment, and Superintendent Bernhardt talk about the need the police needs. This was comprehensive, what we could do with this money. So I asked the members of council today, the ones that looked the children in their eyes and in their faces, and said, I make a pledge to you that you uphold your word on what you said to them, and you release those funds so that they can have the programs that you promised them that day, so that you could have the honor and integrity from that moment. And by the way, Laura, you know I have deep respect for you. You are my friend and my neighbor. And I met you knocking on doors to ask people to vote for you. If you do not release these funds, I will knock on those same doors to ask people to vote against you.
Thank you. Next is Peggy Wilson.
Peggy Wilson, 824 Drexel Avenue, and that is a really tough act to follow. Last night I was at the town hall, and I think those of us, a lot of us, most of us left feeling really uplifted and positive about what our community can be. And then many of us stuck around afterward and networked. I got to meet Cynthia, and we talked about some stuff that we're going to try to work on together. I was very disappointed when I turned around to realize that Councilman Silva and Councilman Andrusko left at some point and missed that whole part of the meeting where they could have had an opportunity to engage with the community and see how important this is and why they really need to get off the stick. My background is in construction project management for the federal government. So I'm familiar, very familiar with government contracting. And I'm also familiar right now with the supply chain issues. You have, it's not even 18 months now, right? It's 17 months. And that is nothing in the timeline of a government contract. It is nothing. And as Allison pointed out last night, even if you get them awarded within that time frame, if something that you've estimated is going to cost $500,000 comes in at $450,000, you've lost that $50,000 because if it's not obligated by December 31st, it has to be returned to the federal government. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. You've got to let that money go. If there is a report, then fine. But let's be honest, releasing that report isn't going to just flip the switch. This is going to drag on and on and on. And you just have to let the money go. The community needs it. Listen to the community.
Thank you. Next is Tyrone Carter. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, and that's it.
Thank you, Secretary Billups. That concludes public forum. I'd like to thank all the people in the audience to let so everybody could hear what everybody had to say. So I appreciate, again, tonight, as of last meeting, the public for letting everybody speak. So thank you.
President Burke,
Councilwoman Farrelly,
I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting for Mr. Reggione is ignoring our motion and is on this along with us not feeling covered by Solicitor Kilkenny.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Farrelly.
I'll second.
This is,
Officer Bateman, would you move over to the side of the room, please? Officer Bateman, remove second row from the front, far left, please, now. Thank you. Not yet.
Okay. President Burke, I'll second the motion on the floor.
Thank you.
President Burke, will we have comment on that motion?
Okay, we have a motion, first and second on the floor.
Do we allow comment for that motion, President Burke?
Absolutely not, because I don't have order.
President Burke, I'm going,
no comment on.
President Burke, President Burke, I'm going to stay in this meeting after with at least 4 or 5, counting on Zoom, members of council. If you don't want to lead this meeting, we are going to give a presentation about the truth, about the lawsuits and your violations of the law. I will not leave this chamber, and you do not have to stay, but anyone who wants to can, and they will hear. And that's because I heard you were going to do this before the meeting, and that's why I'm announcing it.
Mr. Heyman, you're out of order. Councilman Heyman, you're out of order.
Well, you're out of control.
Solicitor Kilkenny, since I don't have order, we have a first and a second. I would like to call for a roll call unless you have something to say.
I do.
Okay.
Section 403D of the Home Rule Charter says the mayor shall have the right to be present and participate in all council meetings and to recommend to council such ordinances and resolutions as he deems necessary, or she in this case, and desirable, provided that, however, that she may not vote in council meetings except in the case of a tie, as otherwise provide herein. My understanding is the mayor wanted to present to council the ARPA ordinances. That's why I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Okay. That's not on the agenda, the ARPA ordinance. It's not on the agenda, am I correct? Okay.
I believe she wanted to bring it up during the mayor's
Okay,
report
so,
and the right to participate.
so it's not on the agenda, and at this present point of what has come to the last couple of meetings, the House is not in order. We have a motion for first, and we have a second.
Anybody who wants to hang back,
You
I'm going
are
to be
out
up
of
here
order.
to do something about it.
You are out of order.
You're out of control.
So, Solicitor Kilkenny. Excuse me.
I want to make a motion to call the question.
All right. Roll call, Secretary Belps, please. On adjourning the meeting. Quiet, please. We have first and second adjourning the meeting, Secretary Belps. You got to get a roll call, please.
President.
Quiet.
President Burke, can I?
Quiet.
President Burke.
We're on a roll call. Go ahead.
Anybody who'd like to stay and hear about the lawsuits, I'll be happy to give you information, answer your questions. We don't require a quorum
We're
for
in
that.
the middle of a roll
President
call,
Burke
Councilman Heyman.
can't interrupt that.
Go ahead, Secretary Belps, thank you.
So the question is to adjourn the meeting early.
To adjourn the meeting.
So
Yeah.
the public safety is not important for the agenda?
Councilman Siddiq, we have a motion, please. We'll
The
go through
question,
them.
public safety is not important for the council? We are not for the public? I have an issue for the public safety. Let's actually do the public safety, then adjourn the meeting.
Councilman Siddiq.
You're making 90,000 people suffer because of your obsession with one man. With one man. The whole township has to suffer.
Secretary Belps, please. Secretary Belps, please. Roll call. Please. To adjourn the meeting.
May I ask the question, why you adjourn the
Councilman
meeting
Siddiq.
for what?
You're out of order. Secretary
Adjourn the
Belps,
meeting for
You're
what?
interrupting Secretary Belps. You're out of order. Secretary Phelps, roll call, please.
Councilman Heyman,
No.
Councilwoman Blackwell,
No, we're not adjourning the meeting.
Councilman Andrewsko,
Yes.
Councilman Siddiq,
No, I was voted by the public. I want to stay here.
Councilwoman Farage,
Yes.
Quiet, please.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
We're in the middle of a roll call. Sir, please. Continue, Secretary Phelps. Everybody's out of order, so we're going through the vote.
Well, it's almost like the community follows the example of its council.
That's great. Go ahead, Secretary Phelps.
Councilman Silva,
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Burke,
Yes.
Councilwoman Billups is a no. Councilwoman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Tunis,
No.
and Vice President Wentz.
Yes.
8:23, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Just hang tight, everybody. I got copies of my lawsuit up here for you. And some emails I'll be reading. And I'd like the administration, I'd like to thank them for keeping this on YouTube. It's still going strong. This meeting may be over, but you will not stop us from talking about what's going on in this township. Let's end this hostage crisis.
You're a disgrace, Laura! Shame on you! How does your daughter get to think of you, Matt? Come on.
Yeah, what a disgrace, Matt.
Unbelievable.
Just say it to Matt, not it. He left last night. Left last night.
Well, the meeting's adjourned, so she doesn't have to be.
So, can you come up here? Shame on you. Shame on you, Brian.
Would you prefer me up here or down there? I'm even shorter up here.
You earned that seat.
Yeah, I know. So the mayor's has let me know I do not have to, does not request the solicitor to stay at this meeting. I just want to be clear that 5 council members cannot conduct public business. They
That's
can
correct.
give an informational session if they so choose.
That's very correct.
Okay.
But 11 can't, so what the hell? Yeah.
Quick question. If this is an informational session for the folks that are staying here, like, can we ask questions and, like, are we, is there dialogue?
Come on up, Colleen. I mean,
think-
well, look, in my section, I can't speak for the mayor, but
So the idea here is that there was an agenda published, right? We're just filling out the agenda. I want to give the mayor's report, and then there's old and new business. So that's it. So there's not a public comment session. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin with a reminder that National Night Out is coming up on Tuesday, August 2nd. This is an annual community building campaign that promotes police community partnerships and neighborhood camaraderie. The event will take place at the 69th Street Recreation Area from 6 to 8 p.m. with free food, activities, and giveaways. Come check out the helicopter landing at 6 p.m. along with Upper Darby's K-9 unit and our bike and car seat safety demonstrations between 7 and 8 o'clock. As we've heard extensively through the part of the meeting that we did all sit through, we hosted a town hall meeting concerning the ARPA funding, which remains unallocated by council. The atmosphere fostered by our amazing community speakers and our panel of administrative leadership as well as all our resident attendees, was one of positivity and inspiration. It was incredible to see such a display of what makes our Upper Darby community the amazing place that it is, and how much it deserves this ARPA money. Council received last Thursday 6 narrowly tailored ordinances for each of the allocations of the funds. These include flood mitigation and sewer upgrades for $5 million, police and fire, $5.5 million, the Upper Darby Community Center, $3 million, the COVID relief and negative economic impacts for $5,786,245. We have parks and public spaces at $4.5 million. And the lost revenue, it's one ordinance, but it's broken down into additional lost revenue for 2020, which is set at $1,776,294, and the lost revenue projected for 2021, which is $9,999,400. So the total of the 6 ordinances adds up to $35,561,939. So we'd really love for council to, first, an ordinance needs to be advertised, and then there would be a public hearing on it. So hopefully those will come along soon. The calculations for lost revenue it's like a fixed formula that the federal government has created, and that all the municipalities adhere to, and it has to do with 2019 revenues compared to the following years. So that's how we got that money, and that was calculated by Donna Stillman, who is our, she's the acting finance director. As Jack Reagan from UHY discussed last night, we are on a tight timeline. The federal government considers the funds allocated, not just when the funds are released through the ordinances, but when we have contracted out with vendors to spend these funds. We need time for bids and contracts to be finalized. These funds need to be contracted by December 2024, and the funds need to be spent in full by December of 2026. Jack Regan serves as our ARPA administrator and compliance agent, and he clearly articulated the timeline last night, and we are working against the clock. I urge council to immediately put these on the agenda for introduction and advertisement. July is Parks and Recreation Month. Throughout my administration, we've seen our Parks Division staff come together to pull off some really incredible, successful projects. I want to take a moment to thank them and recognize them for all the work that they've done. Some of the projects include sprucing up of the Sellers Library and park grounds, working with the tree tenders of Upper Darby to build the Clyde and Gisela Hunt Tree Nursery that's in Naylor's Run Park now. They also participated in a stream bank restoration project at Gillespie Park, planting over 300 trees and shrubs, along with a lot of volunteers from the community. And most recently, they've been clearing the township's property at the Nickel Plate House along the Darby Creek Trail. So it's called, the property is owned by the township. It's rented out. So the former tenant no longer lives there, and we're just clearing out the property, and we're going to get ready to fix it up and then rent it out again. So just all in all, we do very much appreciate all the hard work that all of our staff does, especially in this really hot weather. So that was it for my mayor's report on the agenda. Thanks.
I think since our president of council has, let's say, fled, and our solicitor has left as well, I think we could move right to new business. All right. Well, since we're going to continue with this, all right, this is I'm going to continue with this. This is not. I want to start this by saying to Mr. McIntyre and everybody else in this room and everybody in this township and frankly everybody in this Commonwealth and in this country, if you are a member of the LGBTQ community, I can't imagine what you feel right now. If you are a woman worrying about your right to choose, I can't imagine what you feel right now. I know I can't do everything from up here, but everything I can do, I'm going to try. And I want you to know that when President Burke said that this was in the Law and Government Committee, that was a lie. There has been no Law and Government Committee at any time since I have been a council member since I was sworn on council on January 3rd. I intended to bring this up under new business, and I will do it at any opportunity that I get. I will make the motion, and I'm sure we'll have a second up here. I know it doesn't do much, but it's what we can do, and I want to apologize on behalf of this body for not doing it tonight. So, oops, sorry, Councilman.
Oh,
Since
no.
Laura left, just a small correction. I had
Always wanted to do that.
Councilman Tunis, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to inform the public that as far as the ARPA funding, the administration has split them up in ordinances through different committees based on the subject of the ordinance in relation to the committees. My committee, community engagement, has met about 2 of those, and we were told they wouldn't be placed on the agenda. So I just want to inform the public on that we're trying to find ways to pass the ARPA funding. I just want you guys to understand that Councilman Hamill can explain this a little bit more himself, but this isn't a frivolous lawsuit. 6 council members broke the law. That's what it is. They broke the law, and that's why they're in a lawsuit. But let's forget about all that noise. This is a concentrated effort by 6 white council members to hurt minority communities of color and silence their representation. And we're going to be pushing forward resolutions in the coming weeks to address this. I think that it's time that just because we're 5, we can still do what's right for the public. We don't need to make 90,000 people suffer because of their obsession with the CAO. They have an investigation going on. I don't understand why they can't wait for that to conclude. They have current litigation going on where council members of color have been purposely left out. They have no information. President Burke lied in the last meeting and said he had no idea that there was litigation going on. Their solicitor, Chris Boggs, has put that in emails saying that that's incorrect and false. So it's just a lot going on here. I appreciate you all being patient and being here today. I'm gonna give the floor back to, I believe, Councilwoman Billups.
Thank you. Councilman Siddiq.
Well, it is regarding the public safety. I have the petition for the stop sign. It's very important intersection of Stonehurst area, which is Millbank and Ruskin Lane. Residents are here. They proudly talk over here of the safety thing, but the petition with me, and officially I cannot put it in. I'm sorry for that one, and you see what happened. Hopefully next meeting I'll do that one. And, one more correction, since Laura if she was here, it was nice. She said that Bangladesh is a small, tiny country, and it is not. It is a nation of almost 180 million people, and literally the largest country in the world population-wise. That's correction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know that. Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Heyman.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the lawsuit because some falsehoods have been put out. And I understand anybody in this room who doesn't understand what we're doing, that is completely reasonable. And I'm not upset. And I want to talk to you about, one, the logic behind the lawsuit, how we came to where we are, the truth about what it is, and effectively what we do going forward. One, I've got copies of my lawsuit up here, a limited number, but if you want to take a copy, take a copy. You can look at it. I believe this is in the public interest. I want to start out by saying I filed this lawsuit out of my own pocket. I do not have an attorney, and the township government funds are not paying for one dime of my lawsuit. Paid for it on my Discover card. I can give you the receipt, but I would redact the number preferably. Not that there's much to take, don't worry. I am a government employee. So this lawsuit has nothing to do with the merits of the team of six, or whatever you want to call them's case against Mr. Rangione. I don't agree with their argument at all. I don't think it's correct. But my lawsuit actually has nothing to do with it. My lawsuit has everything to do with the fact that they are conducting this business in private. They did so illegally. That's correct. Councilman Tunis used that word. There was no public vote. The Sunshine Act, including the most recent updates, which were discussed in this council chamber as recently as early June, and which Solicitor Kilkenny sent out guidance on last fall and again this year, and I received, makes clear when you actually read the act, and I'm happy to do it, there is no action that this council doesn't have to take in public. They can have an executive session over litigation, and by the way, when you do that, I am required, according to state ethics laws, not to share that information. But because we didn't have an executive session, I'm going to tell you all what's going on. So that was another mistake. I didn't even know about this until June 15th when Councilor Wentz mentioned it in a council meeting, and I followed up and didn't get a clear answer about who did what and when. I pressed President Burke about it in the last meeting, and he was either just outright lying to me, which is probably the case, or he genuinely didn't know. I'm not really sure. I contacted the attorney that this body hired. That attorney confirmed that the Finance Committee had told him that it didn't happen. I can provide these emails to anybody who wants it, or want them. The Finance Committee did it, again, not a suggestion in an executive session. And to reiterate, the Sunshine Act says that it has to be confirmed in public. That discussion can be in private. Actually, there technically doesn't have to be a discussion, but the vote on any matter has to be in public. And for people that are saying that this isn't a lawsuit, this isn't litigation, this is the exact same that they're doing. This is the exact same motion that I filed. The only difference is mine is entirely paid for out of my pocket. Theirs is paid for entirely with taxpayer dollars. And for the people who would also like to say that it's not litigation, they have a judge, they have a plaintiff, they have a defendant, they have a docket number, and they have an attorney that they're trying to pay with taxpayer dollars representing them. If that's not a lawsuit, I don't know what is. And actually, the Sunshine Act clearly defines what litigation is. That's pretty comfortably in there. So again, it's not about did counsel have the right to find that Mr. Rangione forfeited his job. And while I don't think he did, they didn't file a lawsuit because they didn't vote on it in public. And if we're going to let illegality like that stand, breaking the law without addressing it, without holding them accountable, it goes from illegality to strategy. Whether it's storming the Capitol building or just trying to conduct business in private, it's wrong, and I won't stand for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Heyman.
Wait, one last comment, because there were some misconceptions put out there in the news. I don't receive a dime. The fines listed in my suit came exactly from the Sunshine Act. It says that for the first violation, I believe it's $100 to $500, and for the second violation, it's $500 to $2,000. They violated it twice. I'm seeking for them to be fined $4,000. I get a total of $0 of that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can we move to resolution number 27-22? We can't right now?
No, because one, we don't have, this is
Well-
just an information session. Yeah, we just providing the public with information.
All right, so since it's information session, I had a member of my community, well, he was a member of my community, but he is still on our Upper Darby Historic Commission, as well as a member of the library board. So shortly after administration, he stated that the Upper Darby Code online, he went through the website searching for variants or various ordinances when he discovered that an ordinance dated back to the 1980s, which regulated pornographic displays, but it wasn't displayed to displays of an X-rated nature per se. The ordinance displayed displays of affection, a simple kiss, hug, for all couples who were not comprised of man and woman. He brought this to my attention and other members of the Upper Darby's LGBTQIA plus organizations, and their members pushed the council to overturn. He stated that this were discriminatory legislation, which he proposed the council voted to do unanimously. He stated that these LGBTQIA plus community members then pushed our state representatives to overturn certain legislation at the state level, which the Pennsylvania legislation finally did this year. They did this year, okay? And at the same time, the victory in Upper Darby seemed hopeful, and he stated to me as part of other community members that the LGBTQIA plus discrimination was fading. However, recent history has proven that this belief was short-sighted. He stated, and this is a member of the community, that certain justices' concurrent opinions in the recent Dobbs versus Jackson case is harmfully chilling. He also stated that the court may overturn Hodges and Obergefell, which affirms that the fundamental right to marry is in the Constitution. In Pennsylvania, we have a gubernatorial candidate, which he states described homosexuality as a depredation. And it is vital for the council to put aside their differences and pass the ordinance to show unanimous bipartisan support. This was brought to my attention by a community member who serves on several boards, and I just wanted to bring that to the public's attention. Thank you.
Secretary Billups,
Yes.
would I be able to make a motion to adjourn our meeting?
I don't.
Oh,
Councilor
we can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, I think if that's everything, if anybody have any more other information, yes.
Why don't we stay after? Would you be willing to stay after and talk with us?
Yeah. But I think our information session is over. Yeah.
It was better than the meeting. Thank you. I hope we do this every month.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.